Have you ever loved someone so completely that you gave them every single piece of yourself? Your time, your sleep, your future, your body, your soul, only to watch them hand that same devotion to someone else? Tonight, I'm going to tell you the story that broke me open and taught me the hardest, most sensual, most heartbreaking lesson of my life. My name is Sarah. This is the story of how I carried my boyfriend through stage 4 cancer, and how he left me for the nurse who cared for him. If you've ever given everything and been left with nothing, stay with me. You're not alone. Let's begin. But before we begin, if you're new here, stop everything and hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications, because these stories are the kind you can't look away from. Tonight's tale is one of the most gut-wrenching betrayals I've ever narrated. A love that survived cancer, only to be destroyed in the most cruel way possible. If you're ready to feel every emotion, rage, heartbreak, and quiet strength, smash that like button before we even start. Share this video with someone who needs to feel seen, and drop a comment below right this second telling me exactly where in the world you're listening from tonight. Are you in New York staying up late? Texas with the lights dimmed? California, London, India, Philippines? I read every single comment and I can't wait to see where this story is reaching you. Alright, take a deep breath because this one hurts. Let's begin. I met Noah in a Chicago coffee shop on a cold October afternoon. The kind of day where the wind cuts through your coat and makes you crave warmth. I was 29, bone-tired from a 12-hour shift in pediatric oncology, desperate for caffeine and silence. I bumped his table. His black coffee spilled across the sketchbook he was hunched over. I apologized, flustered, reaching for napkins. He looked up. His hazel eyes caught the light like amber. Instead of anger, a slow, lazy smile spread across his face. "It's okay," he said, voice low and warm like whiskey on a winter night. "Actually, the spill caught the light perfectly. I can draw it now." He gestured to the empty chair. "Sit. I owe you a coffee." We talked until the barista started stacking chairs. He was an architect, 31, obsessed with clean lines and quiet spaces. I told him about the kids I cared for, tiny fighters battling cancers bigger than they were. He listened like every word I said was the most important thing he'd ever heard. When he asked if he could sketch me, I felt heat bloom across my chest. He leaned closer, pencil moving in slow, confident strokes. Every time his eyes flicked from the page to my face, it felt like fingers brushing down my spine. That night he walked me home. At my door he cupped my face with both hands and kissed me. It was slow, deep, devastating. His tongue slid against mine, tasting of coffee and heat. His fingers tangled in my hair, tugging just enough to make me gasp into his mouth. When he pulled back, his pupils were blown wide. "I want to see you tomorrow," he murmured against my lips. "And the day after. And every day after that." 6 months later, he moved into my tiny Lincoln Park apartment. The first night we christened the new bed, he took his time. He peeled my clothes off slowly, kissing every inch of skin he uncovered. His mouth moved down my neck, across my collarbone, lingering on the curve of my breast. He sucked gently until my nipple hardened against his tongue, then moved lower, kissing the soft skin of my stomach, the dip of my hips. When he finally settled between my thighs, he looked up at me with dark, hungry eyes. "I've been dreaming about this," he whispered, breath hot against my core. He licked me slow and deliberate, tongue circling my clit in lazy figure eights until my hips bucked. He slid 2 fingers inside me, curling them just right, stroking that spot that made my vision blur. I came hard, crying out his name, thighs trembling around his head. He climbed back up, kissed me deep so I could taste myself on his tongue, then slid into me in one smooth thrust. He moved slow at first, savoring every inch, every gasp. Then harder, deeper, until we were both shaking. When he came, he buried his face in my neck and groaned my name like it was the only word he knew. We fell asleep tangled together, sweat slick and sated, and I thought that was forever. Started with headaches. Bad ones. He'd wake up clutching his temples, eyes squeezed shut. I told him to see a doctor. He said it was stress. I believed him because I wanted to. Then came the dizziness. One night he passed out in the shower. I found him on the tile, water running cold, his naked body limp. I held him against me, screaming for help. The MRI was the next day. I sat in the waiting room, twisting the hem of my scrubs, praying it was nothing. The doctor's face was grave. Glioblastoma multiforme. Stage 4. Inoperable. 12 to 18 months with treatment. Maybe. In the car, Noah cried silent, shaking sobs. I pulled over, climbed into his lap, wrapped my arms around him, and held him until the storm passed. "We're going to fight this," I whispered. "Together. I'm not letting you go." That night, back home, he clung to me like I was his only anchor. He buried his face in my neck, hands fisting in my shirt. "I'm scared, Sarah," he whispered. I kissed him hard, desperate, claiming. I pushed him back onto the couch, straddled his lap, and ground against him until he was hard beneath me. I sank down slowly, taking him inch by inch, watching his face contort with pleasure and pain. I rode him gently, deeply, until his hands gripped my hips and he came with a broken sob, whispering, "I love you, I love you, I love you." I thought that was enough to hold us together. I took an indefinite leave from work. I moved my entire life around his treatment. Chemo every 3 weeks, radiation 5 days a week, experimental infusions, clinical trials. I learned to read MRIs like bedtime stories. I memorized his medication chart. I became fluent in the language of oncologists. Every morning I woke up before him, made sure his pills were ready, his breakfast soft enough to swallow. I held his head when he vomited so violently his ribs bruised. I bathed him when the weakness made standing impossible. I shaved his head when the hair fell out in clumps. I kissed every bald patch and told him he was still the most beautiful man I'd ever seen. But even in the worst of it, there were moments when desire still flared between us, fierce and defiant. One night after a brutal round of chemo, he was too weak to stand, but he looked at me with those same hungry eyes and rasped, "Touch me, Sarah. Please. I need to feel something good." I straddled him carefully on the hospital bed we'd set up in the living room. I kissed him slow and deep, tasting salt from his tears. My hands slid under the thin hospital gown, stroking him until he was hard despite everything. He groaned into my mouth, hips jerking weakly. I sank down on him, moving gently, reverently, until he came with a broken sob, whispering, "You're my miracle." Another time, after radiation, his skin was raw and sensitive. I bathed him in the dim bathroom light, my hands slick with soap. When I knelt between his thighs to wash him, he reached down, fingers threading through my hair. "Don't stop," he begged. I didn't. I took him into my mouth, slow and careful, loving every shudder, every choke sound he made. His fingers tightened in my hair, hips lifting weakly. When he came, it was quiet, almost reverent, tears slipping down his cheeks. He pulled me up, kissed me, tasting himself on my tongue, and whispered, "I'm still alive because of you." Those stolen moments felt sacred. I believed they meant we were unbreakable. In the spring of the second year, the scans changed. The tumor was shrinking again. Doctors were cautiously hopeful. Noah began to walk without a cane. He started eating without nausea. He laughed without pain. We dared to dream again. I went back to work part-time. I needed to rebuild my savings, my life. Noah encouraged me. "Go save those kids," he'd say with a grin. "I'll be here when you get back." One afternoon, I came home early from a shift. I'd forgotten my lunch bag and thought I'd surprise him with takeout from his favorite Thai place. The apartment was too quiet. I slipped off my shoes, padded down the hallway, and pushed open the bedroom door. Lily was in our bed. With Noah. She was naked beneath him, sheets twisted around their hips. Her full breasts pressed against his chest, nipples hard and pink. Her legs were wrapped around his waist, ankles locked at the small of his back. His hand was buried between her thighs, fingers moving in slow, practiced circles while she moaned softly, head thrown back. He was inside her, moving with the same slow, deliberate rhythm he used to use on me. His hips rolled in deep, controlled thrusts. Her nails dug into his shoulders the way mine used to. Her lips were parted, breath coming in soft, desperate gasps. They didn't hear me at first. Then Noah opened his eyes and saw me standing in the doorway. His face crumpled. "Sarah!" Lily gasped, tried to cover herself. I stood frozen, watching the man I'd bathed, fed, loved through the worst days of his life move inside another woman with the same hungry grace he'd once reserved for me. The sounds, her soft moans, his low groans, the wet slide of skin on skin, cut through me like a blade. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just turned and walked out. I walked to the lakefront in the rain and sat there for hours, replaying every intimate moment we'd ever shared, wondering how many of them he'd already given to her. The months that followed were hell. I'd lie awake in our bed, body aching for the man who'd betrayed me. I'd touch myself, remembering the way he used to pin my wrists above my head and fuck me until I screamed his name. I'd come hard, tears streaming down my face, hating myself for still wanting him. One night I dreamed of him, his mouth between my thighs, tongue slow and relentless, circling my clit until I was shaking, then sliding 2 fingers inside me, curling them just right while he sucked hard. I woke up soaked, gasping, alone. I started therapy. I told my therapist about the flashbacks, the way his fingers felt inside me, the way he'd growl my name when he came, the way he'd kiss the small of my back after. She listened without judgment. She told me the body remembers love, even when the heart has been shattered. 8 months later, I was walking home from the hospital and saw a man on a bench near the lake. He was sketching the skyline. Something about the way he held the pencil felt familiar. It was Noah. He looked up and saw me. His face crumpled. "Sarah!" I stopped. My body reacted before my mind could stop it, heart racing, skin flushing, a pulse low in my belly. He stood up slowly. "I'm in remission. The tumor's gone." I nodded. "I'm glad." He swallowed hard. "I miss you. Every day. I think about the way you used to touch me. The way you'd ride me slow and deep. The way you'd whisper my name when you came. I hate myself for throwing that away." I looked at him, really looked, and felt the old heat flare. But beneath it was something colder, harder. "I'm glad you're okay," I said, voice steady. "But I'm done remembering." I walked away. My body still hummed with the ghost of his touch, but my heart stayed silent. 3 years later, I still live in that same apartment. I still work at the hospital. I still save kids every day. But I've changed. I've started dating again. The first man who touched me after Noah, his name was Daniel, kissed me like he was starving. His hands were rougher, hungrier. When he fucked me, it was fast and hard, nothing like Noah's slow worship. He pinned me to the mattress, thrust deep and relentless until I came so hard I saw stars. Afterward I laughed because it felt like reclaiming something. I'm learning what I want. Someone who chooses me every day. Someone who looks at me like I'm the miracle, not the caretaker. Someone who will fuck me like they mean it and love me like they mean it more. Sometimes late at night I still think about Noah. I remember the way he used to lick the sweat from the hollow of my throat, the way he'd bite my shoulder when he came inside me, the way he'd hold me afterward like I was the only thing keeping him alive. But those memories don't hurt the way they used to. They're just echoes now, hot, vivid, but no longer mine to carry. I've learned that the most powerful kind of desire is the one you feel for yourself. So here I am on my balcony with a glass of red wine, Milo curled at my feet, the city lights glittering below. My skin still remembers every touch, every thrust, every whispered promise. But my heart is finally my own. And that, my friends, is the spiciest, most dangerous, most beautiful kind of freedom. If you're carrying a betrayal that feels like it's crushing your bones, let me tell you something. You are enough. You are worthy. And one day, you'll look back and realize the worst day of your life was actually the day you started living for yourself. Keep your heart open but guard it fiercely. Thank you for staying with me through this pain. If this story broke your heart the way it broke mine, hit like, share it with someone who needs to feel seen, and subscribe to The Spoken Pen for more stories like this every week. Comment below. Have you ever given everything to someone only to be betrayed? Where are you listening from tonight? I read every single one. Until next time, keep your heart open but guard it fiercely. Good night.